Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Life's a Drag. How are we doing today, Jason and Galvin?
What up, JLo? How are you?
I'm good, man.
Welcome back.
No, welcome back to you, sir. How are we feeling?
Welcome back. Good. Look, we're testing out the new setup today.
Galvin got a new computer.
Got a new computer. You know, Heiner and I collectively decided that was actually at the root of my internet issues. So we'll find out. You know, remember last show we tested with my wife's computer, only had one issue. Her computer's like 3 years old. This computer is 4 days old now. You know?
Right.
In fact, we're actually using the computer's camera, something I couldn't do before.
Aha. Did you get yourself an Apple or
Oh yeah. It's a new MacBook Pro. Yes, new MacBook Pro. Very exciting. And we'll see. It turns out it very well could have been my computer because I didn't even realize this, but JLo, did you know that 2013 was a long time ago?
My old one, I upgraded this year, and my other one's from 2014.
Yeah. It turns out that in the world of computers, it's even older than you think it is. You know,
right? That's it's like 79 in dog years.
Yeah, something like that.
But anyways, well, good. Well, I'm glad you got yourself a new computer. Welcome, everybody. If you were just tuning in from WFO, welcome. If you're just a fan of ours, thank you very much for being a fan. Like and share on our subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free. That's where you can see most of all our fun stuff. Yeah, we're getting ready.
Memphis wants to go racing. I want to go racing. I want
to go racing. Hey, I got a question for you, Jason Galvin, before we get into all this racing talk.
Yeah, I got an answer.
Did you watch a copious amount of the Olympic Games, the 33rd
Olympiad? Yeah, I love the Olympics. Covered it when I worked for NBC and news. Didn't get to go, but when they were down in Rio, was part of a deal with Nexstar, as being like the kind of on the ground here in the States guy is one of them. So I've loved the Olympics my entire life. I think the Olympics are like one of the greatest events mankind has ever come up with, like not just athletically. I have always loved it. I have so much respect for what many of those people do. And I love that now in the social media era, it's created stars out of people like the dude from Turkey in the air pistol competition.
Oh my God. How great was that? All right. So let's go through this. What was your favorite event? Number one.
Well, I'm asking like what event did I enjoy the result of and everything the most, or like just like what? Okay. Can I tell you what actually I found riveting that I don't think enough people watched? The gold medal match of men's archery.
Okay, yeah, no one watched that,
which is insane. Because first off, like I think archery is way more impressive than the shooting events. Okay, right. Like all the shit they wear and like air pistol or air rifle now and stuff. I mean, these guys have suits on that make a top fuel dragster look cheap. You know, like get out of here with that, right? But like archery, like the bows are created a certain way or whatever, but like you're still holding a bow and shooting an arrow 50 yards or meters or whatever the hell it is. And the final round was this dude from South Korea against Brady Ellison, who is like the one archer name I've ever heard of. He's an American, and it came down. They play like a best of 5 set, right? So think of it like volleyball or tennis, right? It's like a 5-game or match is 3 arrows, right? And so it's the best of the 3 arrows, total score, and you get a bullseye, it's 10, and you know how the rings work, right? So Ellison wins the first, the South Korean wins the next 2, Ellison wins the 4th. So we're into the 5th and final round. South Korean goes first, bullseye. American goes, bullseye. South Korean's second shot, bullseye. American, bullseye. South Korean's third shot, bullseye. American, bullseye. So now we've reached the end of the game, tied. Each archer has hit the bullseye on every shot in the gold medal winning, 3 arrow set.
Right.
And the tiebreaker for this shit is 1 arrow, JLo. 1 arrow. 1 arrow. 1 arrow closest to the center. It's not even about score. And the South Korean won it by like 6 centimeters or something.
Wow.
And it was really cool. He was really humble when he won. He grabbed the American. They grabbed both their coaches. Really, really cool deal. So anyways, I just like to me, that because it was so like obscure compared to the rest of the stuff. I mean, like I am a sucker for track and field. The men's 100, I got hyped for. I got my 5-year-old into it. He went crazy when Noah Lyles won. He ran around the house, "Go USA!" So that was really cool. Right. We fostered the America hell yeah moments with the 5-year-old here. That's ingrained in him forever.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was me. What about you?
My favorite moment of the Olympics, I did love the turkey guy shooting. That guy was just unmatched. But the women's rugby bronze medal for the U.S., the way they won that, I don't know if you saw that. The way they won that, it was like last second.
Yes,
they were all the way down in their end, and this girl just broke a tackle and just ran the entire field to get the bronze medal, which we've never won a medal in that sport ever.
The men's water polo finale. I think we got the bronze in that. Did you see that? It came down to a shootout, like a sudden death shootout, like soccer.
That's awesome.
And we went perfect in the shootout round. Which, by the way, a shootout in water polo is wild. Like
that is wild.
Things I don't ever want to be in life: a goalie in water polo.
No, forget water polo. That's too much. The worst moment of the Olympics. What was your worst moment of the Olympics? I've got mine.
Is it Childs getting the bronze stripped away after?
But that did suck. The worst moment of the entire Olympic Games. Ready?
The breakdancing is ridiculous.
Women's breakdancing. The girl from Australia. That was the absolute worst display of anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And that was that was just such garbage. That woman was terrible. And she's been like just lambasted on social media. Thank God, because and we're not even doing breakdance. Not even though that's a sport, but in LA we're bringing flag football in. What do you think about that?
I'm actually curious to watch that. Honestly, I'll be interested to see how they pick the teams out in that. But I love football. You know that. I'm pumped. Football season's back. I watched my 49er preseason game while sitting on the beach in Long Beach, like not even a mile from where they did all the concert stuff and closing ceremonies. By the way, which was kind of cool.
What did you think about Tom Cruise coming in and doing that whole thing? Taking the flag?
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool. It was all cool.
I'm so
it's all cool.
I'm so non-Tom Cruise. It's not.
I'm a Tom Cruise guy. So listen, dude. Top Gun and Days of Thunder are my two favorite movies.
Listen, I love those movies, but Tom Cruise just thinks he's Tom Cruise, and
he is Tom Cruise. JLo, that's how that works. In fact, weird thing about that.
I know. So. I don't like it. I don't like all that. He's just so I'm Tom Cruise. Let's go run through a mountain or something.
Anyways, saw the Foo Fighters Friday night. By the way, if you've never seen the Foo Fighters, you should go see the Foo Fighters.
Did he bring some little kid up on stage to play guitar?
No. It was their first show back in LA since like the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert deal, whatever, a month after he died was one thing. But like it was their first like real show back. And so I kind of got the impression they just wanted to get through it. Which they did. There was some like pretty emotional moments in there. The Sunday show, he had his daughter Violet come out and he had one of Taylor's sons come out and play. So like that would have been cool to be at. I didn't get to go to that one, but it was
that's
cool.
good. You live a life, man. I like how you and your wife's almost ready to give birth to a second child, and you guys are just out there living life, man. I love it. Good for you.
Well, she's on timeout from here on out. I think that was like her last great hurrah was to go see the Foo Fighters. Listen, we bought those tickets before we even had an inclination of having another kid. It was me and her and a couple other family members, so that was cool.
But that's good though, man. Your wife's a trooper. Forget about it. My wife, 8 months pregnant, she'd be like, "I'm not going anywhere for now."
She is. Just so that we don't overlook this, I saw Justin's comment here asking about Alan, and I think like Joe has probably said several times on a show that Alan is healthy, and I think every one of us, I believe, have communicated with him in that regard, and that's what we've got. Like Alan is dealing with Alan things. And Alan's ready to share the subject, then he will, and maybe he won't. And I appreciate that. Not just me. I appreciate that, but Joe has been in the booth as well and has done a phenomenal job. And I don't have any answers otherwise. I think that Joe has said the same thing. But Alan is healthy. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. We have no idea. He's just doing his thing, I guess. So, but yeah, like Jason said, when we're ready to find out, we'll all find out all together probably. So
I have a theory that he's just finishing the funny car. He's talked about that darn funny car for so long.
Listen, man, it takes time. You got to take time to do.
It's like Joe, like at some point here, Joe's going to disappear for like 3 months, and then when he comes back, Project Pontiac's actually going to be done.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to do this car thing." I'm like, "No." He goes, "I got so much to do." I'm like, "Well, when are you going to do it? Let's go."
And he was like, "December."
Yeah, exactly.
We got like 2 off weeks the rest of the year. Like we're like on the move now.
Well, that's what I told Joe. I was like, "Man, I'm like this whole. I had one race in August or in July, and it was only Sonoma. I missed Seattle, so I missed like the Western Swing, and but it was like Norwalk and then Sonoma. So I'm kind of jonesing to get back out and get on the road and get to Brainerd, man.
Well, we will see you on Thursday.
Yeah,
right? You come in Friday.
No, I come in Thursday.
Thursday, okay. Oh, it's Indy. You're not coming in until Friday, right?
No, I come in Thursday on Indy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because I got to do the Yes program. That starts back up.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. But you're coming in on Wednesday.
It does.
You're coming Wednesday.
I'll be in Brainerd on Wednesday.
Well, are you going to go to the Holiday Inn water park at all while you're there? You bring a bathing suit?
I forgot that's even a thing. Honestly.
Oh my god, it's totally terrible.
No, hard pass.
That's the fun part about Brainerd because every hotel's got an indoor water park.
I forgot about that, honestly.
Yeah.
No, but I think we're all going to is it Ernie's, right?
Ernie's on Gull Lake.
Yeah. Go there Thursday.
It's supposed to rain on Thursday, Galvin. I don't know if you saw that. So Ernie's is outdoors a lot of it, so we'll see how it happens.
Look, Logan is also on the Celsius plan right now, drinking the same one. It's the best one. Justin wants to know what's up with Flying H in the 2025 schedule. And I can tell you this much, and then we'll get our guest on here. Listen, going to the zoo with Jason Logan is a linguistic experience. It's like drinking with a Scotsman, if you know the Robin Williams joke.
Well, and what Nikki's talking about, Coop had a pirate ship out there. That was a fun time. But listen, right. I'm toning it down, Galvin. Since I came back from Sonoma, all I did was drink for like that entire 2-week period. And,
okay.
And I was getting to a point where I was grabbing a bottle of water and I was shaking so much, and I was like, okay.
Like that.
Okay. Yeah, well, I gotta shut it down.
We'll get you fired back up Saturday. And with that, Justin asked about Flying H. Look, Flying H. There's some stuff there at the facility that they're still working on building out. I think anybody who raced there knows that they need more paved parking, and there's a land share agreement with the Circle Track. It's not all kind of the same owners and operators. I don't think I'm saying anything that's not been talked about publicly, or at least is known. Flying H wants to have a national event, and I can tell you holistically that I heard straight from Glenn Cromwell's mouth at the NHRA Sponsor Summit in Sonoma that the National Hot Rod Association wants to have a national event at Flying H. Like, no question about it. Nobody's dodging it. It's just at this very minute not ready. It's as simple as that. So, and Glenn has on multiple occasions been asked about this and has not shut down the idea that could there possibly be an event at Flying H next year if the stars align and things, get built out or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Like there could be an event added, but a lot of things would have to happen probably sooner than later for that, because then you got to tell the teams about it and they got to work then their sponsorship deals and whatever. And I think that rightfully so, he just didn't want to be in a spot, that we were in this year where we had a couple of to be determines. And then, one of them didn't get filled. And I don't think it's a secret that, the one that didn't get filled was either going to be Flying H or Topeka if we could, if the NHRA could work something out to be there. But it just Flying H, there was so much weather last year all over the country while they were building it, didn't get quite to where it needed to be. I mean, honestly, it was tight for the divisional they had, and then weather hit the divisional, and that was a disaster of nobody's fault, like not Scott or Blake's fault or anything like that. I mean, you can't predict, when thunderstorms are going to roll through. Right. So,
actually, you can, but not a meteorologist.
Yeah, not 4 months out. Jason Logan. So, anyways,
but yeah, didn't somebody buy or bid on Topeka? That race
so Topeka did get bought at auction, and from everything that I've seen, the owner has not been publicly announced, but the people
maybe that's Alan Reinhart. What?
Here you go. The people who were in charge of the facility, Jason Logan, have come out and said that the new owners don't have plans to keep it a racetrack, that they're going to parcel it out, which I don't think is all that surprising. Also, for anybody who didn't see, like Bandimere officially out there now, Copart, it was approved and zoned, and there was some real questions whether that was going to get approved or not. The city of Morrison put it through, mostly because I think Copart made some concessions to some of their plans for the facility and what they're going to do. It's not all going to be Copart. There's going to be some other areas for development too that'll kind of keep that part of the hill looking nice. But also John Bandimere Jr. was at the board meeting and made it very clear that that they are still very much so on the hunt for somewhere new to build a new facility. So Sporty said the same thing. Tammy has said that as well. And I think, there's been some people who are like, oh, are they really, because they haven't moved on it, but it's hard to move on, let's pick a new property and start building it if you haven't sold the old one.
Yeah. Plus it takes a minute to
look, I'm sure the Bandimeres have been very successful in life. Okay. But if you're going to need to buy a piece of land and start development on a brand new racetrack, you're probably going to need a little bit of cash as a down payment. And, a little bit of cash, I would think, would be like 7 figures. Hard to do if you haven't sold the giant piece of property that you already have officially, right? So I think now that has gone through, we'll see that. So, there's some positive things on the horizon. It's just probably not moving as quickly as any of us would like. And
they just don't happen overnight.
Well,
you can't just snap your fingers and let's go. We're going racing.
Correct.
But we are going to Brainerd. That place is there.
Yes, we love Brainerd.
Brainerd is one of the, like, I was watching Joe's show today, and he was talking to Erica and talking about how this is like kind of like a fun race. It's not so like high strung and you're like dying to get out there before, it's the ease into Indy, you're kind of it's a party atmosphere. Like people in the zoo. There's some people that never even come look at a race car. They just go out there and camp and drink and have fun for the week. But yeah, we're gonna go racing.
Isn't that what we're gonna go do, or do we have to work?
We got to work a little bit. You more than me, but
are we sure about that?
Listen, we don't have Pro Stock Motorcycle there, which I just realized last week, and
that means that's one less autograph session you have to host,
and it's one less round of Too Fast Too Tasty. It's one less round of Pro Session. So it's a more laid back race. The weather's supposed to be fantastic this weekend. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to drive from Minneapolis for like 3 hours away. Dude, that's the best.
Listen, I land at 11 p.m. Wednesday night. So.
Oh, that's the worst.
Well, it's JJ's first day of school, kindergarten on Wednesday. So I wasn't going to miss that. So take him to school, pick him up. Then we'll drive down to LAX. But I will tell you, perks of taking the afternoon flight here, JLo. Guess who got skipped right over Comfort Plus and into first class?
Nice. Hard part about taking summer flights from the East Coast to the West Coast is there's thunderstorms that you say you can't predict that just pop up. And you deal with thunderstorms, and like Joe and I are on the same flight. We get in at like 3:15 at like on Thursday.
Listen, and this is Nicole telling me to stay in Minneapolis Wednesday, not to drive to Brainerd that late. You know what the problem with that is I think we have race cars on the track at 8 a.m. Thursday. Yeah, and I ain't getting up at 4 a.m. to drive to Brainerd. So I'll be all right. Remember, I'm coming from California, so it won't really be that late. It'll be.
Yeah, but that drive is rough. There's no.
I know, but it'll be 8 o'clock for me. It'll be fine. Listen, dude, I live in Bakersfield. You think there's any light up here when you drive from here to LA at night?
That's true. All right,
you're all right. Let's get to our guest. We made him sit here and listen to us ramble enough. He's intently staring at a computer, which I think
he's gotten up 3 times, and I was like, let's go to him now. No,
he's building his setups for this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the crew chief of Paulie's Nitro Funny Car, coming off their first final round in Seattle a couple weeks ago. Very exciting and battling for a top 10 spot in the countdown. It's 2-time alcohol funny car world champion Jonnie Lindberg.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Johnny? How are you?
Good.
How you feeling about this weekend?
I'm excited. It's a lot of Brainerd is always fun. It can be too much fun sometimes. I heard I've never done that myself.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, me either.
But no, it's some important points here. Because we're battling for the top 10 spot, of course. So the guys just left the shop like 2 hours ago and heading up there. But I think we're ready, and we have a pretty good race car right now.
At what point?
Go sorry.
I was just going to say
I was sorry, Jason Galvin. I would say you're number 8 right now, right? You guys are sitting in the 8th spot.
Yeah, we're number 8, but I think it's only like one round, so we can be kicked out pretty easy too.
It is exactly one round between Paul, Chad Green, Blake Alexander, who's 10, and Alexis, who's 11. So this is one of the things that I've tried to talk about the last couple races that I think enough that we need to at least make sure all of our fans understand is that everybody's like, well, if you run every race, you get in, or why is the top 10 deal, right? But like Jonnie and Paul's team are in a unique position here that there are a few pretty important drivers that are in these positions. Blake Alexander is one of them on Top Fuel. Jasmine Salinas is one of them, and Brittany Force is one of them. And that if you don't make at least one qualifying attempt at every event, then you must be top 10 to be countdown eligible. And so that's where Paul's team is kind of in this situation where you guys are basically in defense mode here. And this weekend could be a big deal. If you go 3 or 4 rounds this weekend, it puts a lot of, maybe takes a lot of pressure off heading into the U.S. Nationals.
Yes, exactly. Since we skipped one race this year, we need to be in top 10 to even have a chance to compete, for the championship and all that. And we just keep doing what we're doing. I just been working hard in the shop, to prevent any small mistakes to happen, go over all the parts and all the pieces. So it's been a lot of hard work in the shop, I always said, you win the race in the shop, not to the racetrack.
At what point did you guys decide as a team to go chase this? Because I think Epping was the race you guys skipped, right?
So we started doing pretty good pretty early in the season. We qualified in the top halves a lot. So Paul basically, came to me and Medlin in the lounge and said, I'm having so much fun this year, so it's up to you two. You want to go to more races? And I asked Medlin, well, you're kind of retired, aren't you? He aren't you supposed to have fun when you're retired? So let's go to all of them, as many as we can. So it's pretty cool. Paul's a great guy to work for, and he trusts me to make the right calls and buy the right equipment. And it's a fun year so far.
Well, and those who don't know, Paul Lee's a major gambler. I mean, he's in the World Series of World Series of Poker. Sorry,
he'd probably be in the World Series of Pro Mod.
He could do that too. Does he take a lot of? It doesn't seem like he takes a lot of chances on the racetrack and in the race car. He leaves that stuff up to you guys, kind of get him dialed in and just talking with him a little bit. I mean, talk about that whole. I mean, is he just like kind of hands off, say, "Hey, you guys do your thing," or does he get in there and kind of dice it up with you guys?
No, he basically just let us do our thing. Like I said, he trusts us, and of course, he comes up in the lounge. I try to explain what happened, and if we had a bad run, I kind of try to explain what we did wrong and what we're going to try to improve. And it's been good so far, and I think we have a good. It's been good that I think I've been driving these cars too, so I understand what it is inside the car if something happens and stuff. So it's a little different for me to discuss something with him, as a crew chief, because I know how hard it can be to drive these cars sometimes. So no, it's good.
Okay, it's you guys. It's Alexis. She's locked in. It's Blake Alexander, and it's Chad Green. Are you paying attention to those other 4 cars? I mean, Daniel Wilkerson's a couple spots in front of you. Every car you put between you could be a buffer. Are you guys paying attention to those cars at this point?
Yeah, of course. We watch, what happens, and we kind of, we really want to be in the top 10. So we watched NSRA.TV and looking, see what Blake does now, he was lucky there, we're competitive, so of course we pay attention. And but kind of when we race, I always said, we race the track, how fast do we think we can go on this during these track conditions? Of course, in the final in Seattle, I tried a little too hard against Proc, but we needed to try to do something because I know they were going to go mid to high 80. So a little too aggressive there, but we learned something at the same point where the edge is now.
I got to ask you about Seattle, because you guys raced Blake in the semis there, and you're pretty fired. Like I think people who know like there are times where Jonnie Lindberg can kind of be up on the chip, but like I think for the most part this year you've been pretty level when it comes to the race car and whatnot. You're pretty fired up after beating Paul Lee there, or after beating Blake Alexander in the semis. Was there a little bit of like personal there for you just because you used to drive that car?
Yeah, it's always fun. Me and Jim we always bust each other's balls. Like it's nice to beat him. Since I drove for him, and we have a little bit of history, but we're still good buddies. So I just kind of, how Jim Head can be. So.
Well, talk to me about that whole, like, you getting up on the chip. I mean, as a driver, it's one thing. You're in there, you're feeling it, you're doing the thing. But as a crew chief, you got to be kind of like the caddy in the back, kind of going, "Hey, man, I'd put that thing one hole to the left." Trying to keep your driver kind of calm, don't you? I mean, that's kind of the temperament you need as a crew chief, right?
Yeah, but like you said, I can be a little hot-headed when stuff don't go wrong or right. It's probably some stories out there on the starting line if somebody else in the other lane just does something that I don't like, and but
so we should be watching.
I get fired up pretty easy, but I kind of calm down pretty quick too.
So we should be watching your reactions on the starting line to see how fired up you get, because that's always fun to watch people get just wound up.
Yeah, yes, probably not.
I won't. I won't.
You can probably, if you go and ask Brian and Mindy Haug, they probably have a lot of stories. I worked for them for 5 years, and I calmed down a little bit now when I started working for them, and when I drove myself, my alcohol car, I was pretty
fired up.
But I'm just competitive, I think you need to. And I didn't move here from Sweden to go and just have fun. I came here to win races, and a lot of people, they think I'm cocky, but like I don't know. I'm just there. I'm pretty serious when I'm on a racetrack, but I'm kind of fun and laid back when we're not racing, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, you are a two-time champion in the alcohol class, driving the race car. Is that will to compete on a full-time basis still there? Like, if presented with the opportunity tomorrow to get in a, let's call it competitive car, that's going to run a full season in funny car and Nitro funny car, would you be willing to jump back at it?
Yeah, of course. Like I feel like I have some unfinished business driving a fuel car. And I'm not that old, I think. So hopefully one day I can be back in the seat. And like I always had a dream, like since my alcohol car, I drove and tuned. So that's kind of what I want to do in a fuel car. But I think if I'm going to do that, I need somebody outside the car that's really hands-on and, can do some calls too,
That's I think one thing that I've noticed over the last, let's call it 10 years or so in the Nitro ranks, right, is that every team now has two people, right? I mean, there are teams that have three even. And you've got John Medlin and some other really smart people that are working on that car now who've been around. Like, every team now needs multiple people. So like, even when Tim Wilkerson was driving, right, Richard Hartman is plenty capable and talented on his own to go off and run a fuel car, right? Plenty qualified and capable. But Tim always had Richard, and now, just because Tim's not in the car, Richard is still right there out in front of the car, right? Like they still work together. How important is it, and why, I guess, is it so important these days to have multiple kind of mindsets in the crew chief lounge?
It's important. It's so much stuff you need to think about with these cars. So, and it's of course really important to have a good crew, to put the car together the same every time. Consistency is key. You have so much horsepower, but it's crazy how small of a mistake need to be there to the car to go down the track. But in the lounge, of course, it's good to be two people. Even when I race my alcohol car, when my good friend Carson Anderson and one of my biggest sponsors came over, and he was a really good tuner, and we kind of had the same mindset, we usually do better because he was outside and looking at the track, and I was strapped in the car, and we had a radio, so he kind of told me, the track doing this and this, and then I did a final clutch call and tire pressure call, like still when I was in the car. So I think it's important to have somebody to kind of talk your language, kind of, when it comes to the tuning that you think I like. And with Medlin, like, it's just been from day one, like, we have the same mindset when it comes to, how much tire pressure we should run primary and what we should do, so usually I kind of write down my idea on a piece of paper and hand him over to him, and he kind of, it's pretty close what we think before we make the run.
I want to ask you a question about what's you mentioned you're from Sweden. Everybody knows that. What's the racing culture over in Sweden? Because we've got like Ida and Julie that are coming over, and you're here, and you're a champion already. Julie's a champion. Ida's coming over. What's that whole scene like over there? What's the biggest difference between Sweden racing and
Norway, Finland, since you're naming all those countries, Scandinavian countries, Jason, for those of you less educated out there.
Part of NATO.
It's
part of NATO.
It's always been big, like the American car culture and drag racing is big, in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and of course we raced over in Sanapod, England, but I think Sweden and Norway is probably the biggest countries outside US, in Europe that do drag racing. And I don't really know why, but I think it's have to do with they sold American cars there all the time, so the American car culture has been big. And I think we're just hungry because their season is so short in Europe. We race between May and September, and we don't have any really test sessions and stuff. So for us to be successful there, we need to do a lot of hard work during the off season, and the sponsor money is not as big over there. So I think we just used to work hard, to race a few races a year. So when we come over here and start racing more, it's like a dream come true, and it's like I always say, hard work pays off.
Do you ever go back over and race at all? I guess you're kind of don't have a shot seeing you're already over here, but
I fly over. I've been helping a couple of teams in Europe with their awful funny cars. Last year I helped John Oaksa from Finland, and I had Lynn from Norway as well. I helped. Our family, we don't have anything over there. We sold everything, so we just focused on the US now.
Gotcha.
I don't even own a race car at the moment myself, so I kind of sold my operation. Just focus on my chassis shop and working for Paul.
How did the Paul deal come together? I've not had a chance to really ask you or talk, but when was the first time you had any conversation at all, or maybe heard your name come up? I know that Paul knew, I don't want to say early in the season last year, but I think that, within reasonable time, that Jason Bunker, who was with the team last year, had that deal starting to come together with Cruz. When was the first time that you ever heard your name thrown in the mix, or did you just get a call out of the blue?
No, so it was kind of funny. So I think we're on our way home from Pomona. Krista Ballman was on the same flight, so she mentioned something like, you should give Paul a call, and I I always wanted to tune a fuel car. We start talking, and apparently I think Paul and Medlin was talking in Pomona, so Medlin my name came up in the mix because me and Medlin, we've been good friends for a long time. So he said, you need to have somebody like Lindberg, that really likes to work and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, maybe, it's time to do something different. So I gave him a call, and it took 2 days. We had a deal together. I called Medlin and I called Paul. So everything happened pretty quick there in November. So I don't know. It might be meant to be. Timing.
So we're giving Krista Baldwin the credit, is what I took from that.
Okay, yeah, give her the credit.
Krista's out there hustling for everybody. It's unbelievable.
It's what she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you get her in the car a little bit more. Quit hustling for everybody else.
How busy is the chassis shop these days?
It's really busy, but I don't have time to work here since this crew chief job is.
Is that where you're at right now? You're at your shop?
Yeah, in my shop. Yeah. So I don't do any right now. I don't have real time to do full builds, but I do I help the cars that I have out there in the tracks, so I'm here building a rear tree for Brian Haug right now and a wheelie bar for Matty Gordon and stuff like that. But I when I took on this job with Paul, I kind of knew that I needed to focus on that. And since we have a pretty small team, we have like 4 full-time guys in the shop and the rest has like 8, so I spend a lot of time over there, make sure the parts are right. And I'm still training the guys we have because they're pretty green. So I was there till like midnight last night building a short block for this weekend. And, you just need to, what the medal says, proper preparation, prevent poor performance or something,
I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. How many alcohol funny cars run your chassis? Like, I know Matty and I know Brian. You obviously tuned for Brian for a long time. Doug Gordon has long been a proponent of your race cars. How many other cars are out there that are yours?
I think it's Mike Deshkunian has a car, and then what's that guy from Canada? Cyphus?
Stan Cyphos. Okay, I didn't know that was a Lindberg car. Okay.
Yeah, so that was Ruckman's old car that he bought, I think. Okay. So I think it's 4 cars right now competing with my chassis. So it's pretty cool when you see them out there, and they do pretty good. Especially, Brian Haug, since I worked for them for 5 years, and the Gordons. They were kind of cool that Gordon took a chance and me building a car for him, and they did pretty good out the gate. So that I got to sell a lot of cars.
Oh yeah, really? So you don't say.
Yeah, right. So do you go to school to learn how to do this, or is this just you growing up? Your whole family was part of this process, and you just picked it up as you went along?
Yeah. So like growing up, my dad was always building like hot rods and show cars. So we went to a lot of car shows and stuff. He never raced himself, but we went to drag racing, and I watched it as a kid. And then, of course, I followed in his footsteps, but started with hot rods. And then my brother's, he's 6 years older than me, so he had his driver license first. So I was always the mechanic when he drove. And then I don't know how we got into drag racing, but we started street racing with old Nova, and then it just escalated. We started in Top Door Slammer, and then, Pro Mod in Europe. But like funny cars always been close to my heart because I think I was 13 or 14 the first time I went with a friend of mine, Martin Lundqvist, in Sweden, and worked on his car. So I was kind of hooked from an early age on funny cars because they're pretty badass cars. That's a real race car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you could say that. All right, take me through the biggest differences, biggest learning curve that you had this year, going from tuning an alcohol car to a nitro car. Like, obviously not your first time around a nitro car. You drove Jim's car. I'm sure that you learned a lot about it there. But like, what was the biggest adjustment that you had to make as far as, let's call it philosophy or style?
It's the basics are the same, I guess. You look on wheel speed and all that, but of course, the biggest thing is we don't have a transmission in the fuel car. So we kind of, tire size is important. And then, of course, just the amount of parts you need, preparation in the shop. Like, we don't really leave the shop with 8 sets of heads. When I raced my own car, I had like 3 sets, and I ran the same set all year. Here, we changed it every run. And just the amount of work that goes into it. I could run my alcohol car with 3 people, and here we are almost 10. Of course, it's if you miss with the alcohol car a little bit, it's still going to go down the track, but a fuel car is going to snort the tires probably. It's you need to think about every aspect of it. The tune-up and I don't know. I probably haven't thought about that question good enough. But
let me ask you this one: would it be fair to say that the Friday qualifying session this week at Brainerd is the most important day of the season for this team so far? Because there are 17 cars, and you surely don't want to go into Saturday being the 17th qualifier, knowing that missing the field would probably tank your opportunity to be in the top 10.
No, of course, Friday is going to be important. We want to make a pretty good run on Q1, of course, and then Q2 we that's going to be the hero run. It's usually pretty good track conditions up there, so of course we want to qualify in the top 5. That's a goal. We've done it before, so I think we can do it again. And then try to make 4 good solid runs in qualifying and go into race day with just try to do what we've been doing and hope for some luck too.
And of course we had to make it harder on you guys, so we're going to bring a car that was second in points back, and then we're going to stick a driver who's had no success at all in his life, and Jack Beckman behind the wheel of it. So I'm sure that car will come out.
Especially in Brainerd.
I'm sure that car will come out and just, mosey on down the racetrack. But Funny Car's been brutal this year. It's been really tough.
Yeah, it's been close racing, but when the class is tough, everybody wants to get better. So I think it's good racing, and it's good for the fans. I think, it's been tight racing. We've been on the short stick of that a couple of times, so I don't like that. But it is what it is. That makes me want to work harder and learn more and get the car a little faster. But like I said, Paul been a great guy to work for, and I call him like, hey, we need to update this, and he like, okay, get it, buy it, so yeah, I'm thankful that he want to spend some money this year, and I think that shows too, on the performance. I opted a lot of parts when I got there, even off the gate. I said this is what we need and to make this program better, and it shows, I think.
That's good that they listen to you guys. I mean, you're one of those young gun guys that, I keep hearing people saying, oh, we need more people to be crew chiefs. We got to keep, teach people how to do this stuff. Yeah, no, it is.
It's true, though. That was one of the things that I personally enjoyed the most when Jonnie got named crew chief of that car, because here was somebody that I don't know was necessarily on maybe the general public's radar, right? Like, I don't think everybody was sitting around with their, Rolodex of off-season, cars that needed new crew chiefs or assistant crew chiefs, and had Jonnie Lindberg on that list. For so long, Jonnie Lindberg was an alcohol guy, right? And you were working with Brian Howe and the Howes and have a great relationship with them. And I don't know that you were necessarily out there shopping your name around, I hate my life, let me go find something new. So to your point, Jason, absolutely. This is exactly what we need.
Right. And I know you want to get back in the car and, would love that opportunity again, but you're that wheelhouse of that age group of people that we need in this sport to take over for the, the older generation, that still have some in the tank. Nothing against any of those guys, but, because what are you? You're in your 30s, right? So you're still kind of moving and shaking.
Yeah, I'm turning 35 this year.
Yeah,
so.
He's younger than me.
That's insane. I love it though. But
you guys all give me crap for being the young guy.
Yeah, but that's funny. People ask me so how do you know so much? But I started tuning cars when I was 15, so I have 20 years experience.
Sure.
That people really don't think about, since I've, they think I started when I was 25, but I actually started young thanks to my, brother and dad, and that. So, but yeah, I'm really thankful for this opportunity and to work with Madeline. He's such a great guy. He has so much knowledge, and yeah, he's a good person. We get along good, and yeah.
Because you're younger, and there's only so many different ways you can work around a car. Cars, the engine's the engine, and but because you're younger, you may have a different way to look at it than the Medlins of the world. Do you guys have a good relationship? Say, hey, listen, man, old man, I don't think that's the way we should be doing this.
Specifically like that, right?
Yeah, or this guy's off his rocker. We should be doing it like this, and we're gonna get more out of this and that. There's a new, do you ever get into that point? Or, I'm sure there's mutual respect and things like that, but is there a different way to look at a car, from your perspective than the old way of doing it? And hey, here's a different way we're doing this. There's new technologies out here.
I don't know. I'm kind of old school, how I ran my alcohol car and everything. So I don't know. It's funny. We kind of on the same page. Some stuff, of course, I maybe say and do different, but otherwise than that, I'm pretty old school. I do, just work hard and try to. I put a lot of detail on all the parts. So I'm out there building the motors myself in the shop and make sure everything is put together right. And I think that's key. You need to be hands-on, and I need to make sure what's going on the car is right, so I can tune it correctly.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Let me ask you this: you pay, I think, probably more attention than most people in the fuel ranks to what's happening outside of Nitro in the United States in drag racing. So let's call it the European scene or the Lucas Oil scene. I know you're very close with a lot of the racers down in the Lucas Oil categories and ranks still too. Brian Lone's podcast last week, Ron Capps comes out and starts talking about not next year, but in 26, adding a top fuel car with a driver that's not really on the radar, right? Somebody who is a sportsman racer right now that, we need to start kind of cultivating these drivers like Ron was, or in a similar fashion like you, right? You came from the alcohol car. Jim Head gave you an opportunity to drive a Nitro car, right? So tomorrow, Jonnie Lindberg gets to start his own Nitro team, top fuel and a funny car. You get 2 cars. Who are the drivers that you're calling to drive those cars that are not currently professional drag racers? Like, I'll allow you to say Paul Lee would be my first pick. That's fine. Keep boss man happy. But you could tomorrow you could pick 2 drivers, top fuel and funny car.
Well, I want to drive a funny car.
Okay.
Perfect. I don't know. That's a hard pick. It's so many good, talented drivers out there.
Who are a couple people that pop into your mind? How about that? You don't have to pick 1 or 2, but who are some names that pop into your head? Drivers that should be pro drivers one day.
Of course, I have Julie. She's out there pursuing her top fuel dream. And what else? I don't know. Like, some of the guys I know in alcohol ranks, they kind of want to stay there. They're happy. So I don't think everybody want to move up. That was always a dream for me, but.
Yeah, I already have people asking me if Matty Gordon's going to go Nitro funny car racing next year, and I'm like, I think Matty Gordon's perfectly happy driving for Dad right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I heard too with their family. They just have a good time racing with their family,
right? Like, now, if somebody calls her and Maddie's also like 19, right? So if somebody calls her in 4 years and says, "Here's a Nitro funny car or a top fuel car," is she gonna like run away from that? Like, I don't know. Like, Macy will probably tell her go. That way I can drive the funny car.
Yeah, they're good drivers.
Like Dylan Howe. Does Dylan Howe have any interest in driving Dad's funny car? I've never asked Dylan that. Do you know that?
Yeah, like I know at first Dylan wanted to like drive pro mods, but I don't think Mindy approved on that. So I think
she approves on an alcohol funny car?
I think so. First he wanted to drive alcohol dragster because Sean Cowie and them they're tight, but I think he's looking on the funny car now a little bit more than he was in the past. So
that would be fun.
That'd be cool to see a father-son duo for sure.
That kid can drive the daylights out of a super comp car in a top dragster. Let me just tell you.
They've been doing really good. I don't understand. I don't understand a thing about that type of racing, so I'm kind of clueless what's going on.
As somebody who competes in that type of racing from time to time, let me just tell you that generally speaking, when round 1 of Super Comp comes around and I'm at a race, Dylan Howe is on my short list of drivers that I'm not exactly trying to pull up next to. So, but I think most of the country probably feels that way.
Yeah, no, they're a great family, racing family.
What do you think? Do you know Ida at all? Do you know her?
Yeah. We kind of live. I think where she's from is like 10 minutes from where I grew up.
No kidding. I didn't know this was that close. Okay.
But then she moved to. She lives outside an island, outside Sweden now. So, but yeah, we talked a lot in Europe, and I watched her racing her bike. It was pretty cool. Like to see her on a 6-second street bike without a wheelie bar. So she's a real deal.
I agree. I think I think people are going to be impressed with.
Is she racing this weekend or next?
This weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. So this weekend. First race this weekend for her. So I think she was beautiful. Good. She's a hard worker too. Really hustling with all the sponsors, and she's been doing a good job so far.
Beautiful race car too. Beautiful.
Is that going to be best of pairing, Jason?
Call Joe. I don't know. Joe. We let Joe make those decisions.
Yeah, we do love Joe.
Joe Costello is in charge of best ofs. All right.
Yeah.
All
so, Johnny, we were talking about the Olympics earlier. Did you watch any of the Olympics?
I haven't really had time, but when I had like dinner at the restaurant or so, they had it in the background. But
are you a Summer Olympics guy or a Winter Olympics guy? Winter, probably.
Winter, probably.
Yeah. What's your favorite sport in the Winter Olympics? Don't say cross-country skiing, please.
I was going to say bobsled. The dude drives a funny car. Come on. I mean, actually probably going to say skeleton. Like, let me lay head first on a sled.
Like, if it don't have a motor, I'm not really interested in it. But if I need to choose something, it's probably hockey, But I don't know if even that's Olympics or not. I don't know.
Would you go down a chute? Curling, get out of here. Would you go down a chute on a bobsled or a luge? Like if I just put you in it and said,
yeah, I probably would.
What about a ski jump? What about that?
No.
I had a couple of concussions snowboarding, so I know how that works.
Okay, so you're good.
He might be okay though, I think you need a concussion to be willing to jump off a ski jump to begin with.
Yeah. Right.
So that's like a prerequisite.
So I remember like snowboarding. I snowboarded a lot in Sweden growing up. We had a slope right next to like 20 minutes from my house. So when we were growing up, like our generation, if you had a helmet, you were kind of, what's wrong with you? You're not cool at all, And then I haven't snowboarded in like, 8 years. Come up to the ski resort, me and my brother, everybody. We just have beanies on, think we're badass. Every single soul has a helmet. And of course, that weekend I crashed pretty hard and got a concussion. So now I wear a helmet too. So kids, wear a helmet. Safety.
Wear your helmet. Wear your helmet. Justin wants to know where we're eating in Brainerd. Ernie's Thursday. I know that. Their food's good.
Hopefully it don't rain on Thursday, because we're going to go out on the lake.
Right. Yeah.
See?
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
But look, if it rains, it rains. It's a little bit of water,
You're already in the lake.
It's fine. Exactly.
Are you going to ski on the lake or are you going to go fishing on the lake? Or are you just hanging out?
Probably just hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the best track that you go to that you can do some hangout stuff on a Thursday before you get out there? What's the best one?
It's probably Brainerd.
Brainerd
or Sonoma. I think that's the two, because I kind of like Brainerd because it reminds me of Sweden. When you fly into Brainerd, it just looks like you're in Sweden, basically, with all the lakes and stuff. So
interesting.
Feels familiar, and it's a lot of crazy drunk people there too. So,
yeah.
Does that and that reminds you of Sweden?
But then, yes, I like Sonoma. That's a favorite track because my aunt used to live in Novato, so that kind of feels pretty special to race there. And then, of course, Pomona always feel like a home race for me. Because first time I shipped my car over, I had it in a shop in Orange. So I had, and then like my first win was in Pomona, and all the Swedes with the flags, always showed up to the Pomona with like 30, 40 people. So Pomona has always been a, fun place for me. And, just hang out at Sheraton at the bar, at night, and just, I like my parents always flies in there, and I like it.
The Sheridan at Pomona is
yeah.
That'll wound you.
It's a scene.
It'll wound you.
See, so like going back to like nationalism and things like that. This whole summer, the Olympics, we had Copa America. Like I'm a huge soccer guy, and the Euros. We're watching the Euros, and we're just watching the teams play, and the fans and the European fans, they just get behind all of their teams, and we as Americans, we've got the American Outlaws, and there's some supporters here, but we just don't get behind our U.S. soccer teams the way the Europeans do. And so that's got to be kind of cool to see drag racing fans come out with the Swedish flag and things like that. Because, at the Olympics, anytime somebody wins a medal, they get their flag and they run around the track and do all that stuff. That's got to be kind of a cool feeling for you, right?
Yeah, it was cool. Like I remember, when I got here first, it wasn't very welcoming. Like what's he's doing here? Like it was pretty rough the first year. Like I remember, like even how Reinhardt talked about me on, dude, like I sold everything I owned to come race for you guys. Like show some respect. Like I remember one thing he said, like he's from Sweden or Switzerland or wherever he's from. Like come on, dude. Like But then, like, when you start winning and do good, like, oh, now you're popular all of a sudden.
Is there much difference between Sweden and Switzerland? Or
I think so. Sweden is like Kia and Switzerland is chocolate.
Yeah, right.
But I think when we start doing better and we saw, all that support from all the fans with the flags and stuff, like, I think a lot of Americans got a little different mindset, But, like, hey, they're pretty good doing this overseas, and now we bring more fans into sport, and I think it opened up a door for some other drivers to do the same thing.
Yeah. Is Europe a little more competitive rivalry than like in South America and like Latin American countries down here? They hate each other. Venezuelans hate Colombians. Colombians hate Cubans. Cubans hate Puerto Ricans. Everybody hates everybody. But it seems like in Europe, it's more like, oh, okay, we're going to fight you, as hard as we can. But at the end of the day, we'll go have a drink after we're done.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to race, in Europe, because we had like 2 races in Sweden, 1 in Germany, 1 in Finland, and 1 in England. We raced, all from all different countries. So of course it was a little, rivalry between us. Especially like it's still between like Germans and English people. It's still a little rough there.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool. It was just. It's a little different. Like in Europe, I can miss it sometimes because you stay at the racetrack even the fuel teams, they stay in the trailers. So at night, we just walk around and have a good time, have a beer.
That's cool.
And it was probably like it was here like 30 years ago,
That's really cool. I didn't realize that's how that
and on all the tracks in Europe, we have plug-in power. So it's no generators at night that makes a ton of noise. So it's kind of nice to just go around and bullshit in the pit, in Europe.
Yeah.
So maybe one day you need to go there and check it out.
Oh, I would love it.
That'd be cool.
That would be fun.
That would be cool. I'd love to go back there. Well, good luck this weekend. I'm sure we'll see you on Friday before you guys run. It's a big weekend for you guys, but it's been fun to watch this car progress this year and see you guys. I know Paul has been working at this for a long time, right? To have a competitive race car. I mean, going back to before, he had his heart issues when he was signing up with the Colettas, and that was supposed to be like his breakthrough. So it's been delayed, 6 or 7 years, but it's good to see you guys running good.
Yeah, he's been working hard for this his whole life, So he, like I said, good guy to work for, and hopefully we can do really good this weekend. That's the plan.
We love it. Well, Jonnie, thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend. We'll be cheering for you out there.
See you in Brainerd. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jonnie.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jonnie Lindberg, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those young gun guys out there just getting it done and making things happen. I mean, behind the wheel, under the hood, making things happen. And we like that about him.
I didn't realize he was younger than me. Like, I knew he was, young. We're in the same range. He's 2 years younger than I am. I'm old. I'm getting old. And I have to go pluck these gray hairs out of my beard.
Bro,
my wife tells me that it's, makes me, look distinguished.
Oh, my wife hates my beard. She said, "You look so old." And I go, "Yeah, well."
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with your beard. You just look old.
Dude, come on, man. I feel like hold on. Oh my God. Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, I haven't drank in a week and I feel much, much better about myself.
Time for another Botox shot, JLo.
Oh my God.
All right. We'll see you Thursday night.
Thursday night. Yeah. Like I said, Joe and I get in at like 3:15 in Minneapolis, and then we take the drive. So I'm going to go check into the motel, Holiday Inn, and then we'll head over to Ernie's.
Sounds good, man. So
if you guys want to hang out with us, we'll be at Ernie's as we can hear. And that's probably one of the better places to eat in Brainerd. Then God only knows what's going to happen.
Every week.
You can't hear that?
Barely. This happens every week. You play the music, it kills your mic, and then you act shocked. Yes, every week, and then you act shocked. Tell me you don't go back and watch the show.
Music anymore.
Just play the music and stop talking. How about that? Bye.